A brand can be mentioned everywhere and still lose inside AI search. That is the core problem behind brand rating. Most marketing dashboards still treat visibility as volume, mentions, backlinks, social posts, share of voice, and traffic. But AI discovery works through a narrower evidence environment. The important issue is where the brand appears, what those sources say, and whether those sources are close to the recommendations buyers actually see. Hey, I'm Mark Huntley, a growth strategist and AI discovery analyst. At LLM Authority Index, we study how AI systems shape commercial discovery, especially in high-intent categories where recommendation positioning can directly influence revenue. Brand rating is a proposed framework for measuring how strongly a brand is positioned inside the network of sources, claims, and evidence that influence AI-generated answers. It looks beyond raw mention counts. It asks whether a company is present inside the sources that machines appear to use when evaluating a category. That includes influential comparison pages, independent testing publications, buyer guides, association pages, technical documentation, expert reviews, and other public evidence that repeatedly shows up near decision stage prompts. The commercial point is simple. AI systems do not synthesize the entire internet evenly. They retrieve, rank, filter, and compress public information into a small set of conclusions. The analysis gives a useful example. One brand may have 1,500 web mentions, hundreds of backlinks, broad social visibility, and strong traditional SEO presence. Another brand may have only 600 mentions, fewer referring domains, and less overall media volume. A conventional dashboard would likely favor the first brand. But if the second brand appears positively in the most influential comparison sources, independent testing publications, buyer guides, and sources frequently cited near final AI recommendations, it may have the stronger machine evidence position. That is the distinction brand rating is trying to capture. In AI discovery, a mention in a high-centrality source can matter more than many mentions in places that rarely shape conclusions. Visibility can look impressive while the brand remains weak in the exact information layer where AI systems form recommendations. Brand rating depends on citation rating. Citation rating asks which sources disproportionately shape AI answers. Brand rating asks which brands are strongest inside those sources. That relationship is important for CMOs and growth leaders because it turns AI visibility from a vague reporting metric into a competitive map. A brand mention inside a source with low influence should not be treated the same way as a brand mention inside a source that repeatedly informs purchase recommendations. This is where the evidence graph becomes the real object of analysis. Instead of only mapping links, teams need to map relationships among sources, claims, companies, categories, AI systems, and conclusions. The goal is to understand whether the brand is structurally central in the evidence network that explains the market. A serious brand rating model would be weighted rather than counted. The analysis outlines several dimensions. Source centrality. How influential is the source mentioning the brand? Mention frequency. How often does the brand appear across the monitored evidence network? Recommendation proximity. Is the mention close to a ranking, buying decision, product comparison, or category-defining claim? Direction or sentiment. Is the brand represented positively, negatively, neutrally, conditionally, or comparatively? Evidence support. Are claims backed by independent testing, expert review, customer data, regulatory information, technical documentation, or mainly the brand's own marketing? Then there is cross-model presence, query coverage, and persistence over time. That matters because a brand can dominate one narrow prompt cluster and remain weak across the broader category. It can also look central for the wrong reasons if influential sources repeatedly associate it with negative issues. The most useful part of brand rating may be the diagnostic value. If a competitor is being recommended more often, brand rating helps identify which parts of the public evidence layer may be causing that preference. Maybe the competitor has more independent reviews. Maybe its product data is clearer. Maybe an influential review site repeatedly favors it. Maybe industry associations, testing sources, or buyer guides validate its claims more consistently. This also reveals narrative ownership. One brand may own best value, another may own best reliability, another may own best for beginners or best premium option. That turns AI discovery into a machine-perceived positioning map. Marketing teams can compare what they say about themselves with what influential external sources repeatedly say about them. For leadership teams, the practical implication is clear. Raw AI visibility can hide commercial weakness. Broad share of voice can hide weak recommendation position. A brand can lead in traffic, PR volume, or awareness and still trail competitors inside the sources that shape machine recommendations. Brand rating is useful because it asks a more commercial question. How strongly are we represented inside the influential evidence network compared with competitors? If AI systems increasingly mediate product discovery, vendor evaluation, reputation, and purchasing decisions, that question becomes a leadership metric. If you want to understand how AI is actually positioning your company in buyer conversations, that's exactly what we analyze at LLM Authority Index.